So, the Barbie movie. Does it deserve all the hype? Well, I saw the movie last night and was not prepared for how good it actually was. It had its cheesy moments, emotional moments, funny moments, serious moments, and areas where suspension of disbelief was necessary. It's a fantasy movie about Barbie, after all. Of course, there's going to be suspension of disbelief. The set design is incredible, and they made Barbie Land look so toy-like, and everyone in it acted and moved like toys, that it was easy to believe you were in Barbie Land. So let's get into my breakdown and review. Spoilers ahead for those who haven't watched it. This is your warning. Stereotypical Barbie is living her best life with other Barbies every day until one day she starts to malfunction with thoughts of death. She wakes up to her shower having invisible cold water, her breakfast is burnt, the milk went sour, she fell off of her roof, her heels hit the floor, and she started getting cellulite. The Kens, meanwhile, already have this rivalry between them. To me, it felt like the Kens finally snapping had already been building, and it was only a matter of time until one match lit the fire. That match is the main Ken. When Barbie says, "I don't want you here," and "it's girls' night every night," to Ken, you can see that hurts him. He knows he's an accessory. He and the Kens exist for their Barbies. At this point in the movie, I'm on Ken's side. Barbie taking him for granted does not give fuzzy feelings. Barbie Land failed horribly at being equal. They didn't see anything wrong with it. From their perspective, the status quo was perfect, when it wasn't. But that's the point. It's brought out into the open deliberately. Barbie is advised by Weird Barbie to go to the real world, finding the girl playing with her, in doll form, and help her with her issues in order to seal the rift in the membrane that separates Barbie Land from the real world. It's up to her to close it, or she'll become just like Weird Barbie. So in a cool montage traveling scene with Ken sneaking along for the ride, and the song Closer to Fine by the Indigo Girls, which I haven't heard in forever and tried hard not to sing along with in the theater, they enter the real world via rollerblading into Venice Beach. The real world is portrayed as an over-dramatized hub of masculinity. When Barbie says she doesn't have a vagina or any genitals, the construction workers, who were previously catcalling her, say, "Okay, all right, sure, that's fine," and accept it. It's a metaphor for shifting from one harmful mindset to a healthier one of accepting someone's pronouns without questioning them. Ken being Ken, on the other hand, and trying to be cool, says, "I have all the genitals," not realizing how silly that sounds. And that's the joke. The two get arrested twice. Once for Barbie punching out a man who slaps her butt, justified, honestly, and again for shoplifting, again, justified. The police contact Mattel headquarters to let them know two of their dolls are in the real world, probably because they don't have fingerprints. We learn that this happened previously with Skipper in Key West, so that clues the audience into the fact that the higher-ups have known about Barbie Land for a long time. And I personally love the addition of the elevator button that says "all the way up." Another point that this movie isn't taking itself seriously. They set out to find Barbie and put her back in a literal life-sized box. Ken's been released into the wild by Barbie at this point, while she meditates to connect with her girl. Ken discovers the patriarchy and completely misjudges it as being about toxic masculinity and horses. Horses are cool! Get that man a horse! He tries to get a job based only on the fact that he's a man, but of course he doesn't, because even trumped up, the real world doesn't work that way. Ken takes the joy of men ruling the world back to Barbie Land. Barbie finds a girl named Sasha, whom she believes is her girl. Sasha proceeds to give her the most savage dressing down I've ever heard. It was harsh, but realistic to how mean girls are. That kind of cruelty is true to the real world, to actual reality. Mean girls are like this. This is where I really felt for Barbie. She honestly thought she and the other Barbies had changed the real world for the better. She went in expecting to be thanked and instead got stomped under the jackboot of a mean, angry, spiteful, apparently popular for some bizarre reason, tween girl about how Barbie destroyed girls' perceptions of themselves. This is the movie inserting the decades-long controversy about Barbie being the bastion of an unhealthy beauty standard. Even the movie says, Nobody looks like Barbie. Only Barbie looks like Barbie. Sasha is completely ignoring the good that came from bonding with her mother when they would play with the toys together, or how Barbie's multiple diverse forms and shapes developed over the decades to work to include many different types of people. Anyway, Barbie's girl isn't Sasha. It's Gloria, Sasha's mom, who works at Mattel as a secretary. Gloria had brought out the dolls she and her daughter played with to try to work through her own feelings of depression, her existential crisis, and her self-worth issues, which bled over into Barbie, causing the problem. Now this is where I'll say mothers can get something out of this movie. The link isn't between the daughter and the doll. It's between the mom and the doll. The song Closer I Am to Fine is from the 90s, an era where Gloria would have been a teenager or preteen. This is another hint that Barbie's girl isn't someone from Gen Z. It also stated in the movie that moms put themselves on hold so their daughters can see how far they've come. That's an emotional line that hit me in the heart. Of course, fathers do this as well. The struggle is from Gloria's viewpoint. She rescues Barbie away from the Mattel board, who are portrayed as incompetent, bungling fools, and takes her daughter to Barbie Land via rollerblades because she never got to do anything. There were scenes that I think could have been filmed in a different way, like the Scooby-Doo inspired cubicle room chase, which was kind of funny, or the execs, college graduates with bachelor's degrees and master's degrees, fumbling to get over a low turnstile that didn't need a key card. The joke is that they're incompetent. Will Ferrell has an odd sense of humor that never hit right for me, but he is funny, talented, and loved by millions, and he earned that. He deserved that, and I respect that. Just because I wasn't into it doesn't mean others weren't. There were lots of people laughing around me when I wasn't. When they return to Barbie Land, they find it completely overrun by an inflated Ken patriarchy. The Kens turned Barbie Land into a giant frat party, turning all the Barbies into brainless bimbos that exist to serve the Kens, and the Kens became douchebags. Barbie is immune to Ken's patriarchy infection because she was exposed to the real world. Ken's saying to Barbie, "How does that feel? Not fun, is it?" when she comes back to find her dream house turned into Ken's Mojo Dojo Casa house, which just made me laugh at the ridiculousness of that name. And that she's the accessory now, slapped her into her own existential crisis. You can tell from the beginning that the Kens were always accessories to Barbies. I felt for Ken, for what was really going on deep down. Hidden behind the masks of bravado and toxic masculinity, programming all the Barbies to be pretty decorations, mansplaining everything like they know what's best, and making them all basically servants to beer them and rub their feet, was the pain of decades of being brushed aside and treated as a commodity. I felt that. When no one listens to you, believes you, or takes you seriously, it hurts. It can lead to disproportionate outbursts and actions born of frustration and anger that once came from a place of love. And Alan was completely ignored. He tried to escape Barbie Land with Gloria and Sasha before they decided to stay, and there's an awesome scene where he kicks the butts of a group of construction Kens. He says, as soon as they figure out how to build the walls sideways and not up, no one is getting in or out. Let's face it, guys, the Kens aren't exactly the brightest bulbs in the box. The Kens wanted to be seen. That's absolutely fair. The Kens were fed up with being props and belongings. Of course, they took it to 11. Once you find a way to have some control, you grab onto it and go to space with it. Gloria has always loved Barbies. So she and Sasha helped to reprogram the Barbies with a heartfelt and real speech about how impossible it is to be a woman living in double standards with contradictory rules. Gloria, her daughter, and Weird Barbie form a plan to save the others and retake control of Barbie Land by pitting the Kens against themselves. The infighting causes the collapse of the comically inflated patriarchy. This is also a message about the destructive nature of infighting. In helping the Barbies, Gloria and Sasha begin healing the rift between them. The deprogrammed Barbies then work to return Barbie Land to its previous physical state. Throughout all of this, the Mattel board go to Barbie Land to retrieve Gloria and Sasha in order to keep more chaos in the real world from happening. which of course it does, with Ken's Mojo Dojo Casa house being created in reality and selling like snow cones in summer. I'm pretty sure it was boys buying these because they finally had a Ken free of Barbie and a cool house with horses. Barbie's crisis of not knowing where she belongs wakes her up in a different way. It wakes her up to how messed up Barbie Land was. She talks to a sobbing Ken after the Barbies have retaken their world. Ken tries to end things with romance, which she rejects. Being spurned each time, Ken doesn't know what else to do but cry. Barbie tells him that he needs to figure out who he is without her. It's Barbie, and it's Ken. Ken is me is a way for the Kens to understand that they are not defined by their Barbies. That was always the problem with the Ken doll from the start. He didn't have his own identity. The Kens now realize that they have their own lives, their own jobs, their own goals, and their own interests. The Barbies support their Kens beginning their own journey of discovering themselves as individuals, although the Kens still love their Barbies. Barbie doesn't love Ken romantically, but she does care about him. She wants him to find out who he really is. Their relationship doesn't end with them getting together. As someone who's demi-ace and tired of seeing relationships devolve into sleeping together, having an ending that didn't result in the typical socially expected outcome made me so happy. We finally got some representation. It is possible to care about someone a lot, to want the best for them, and not want to sleep with them. Ken saying he lost interest in patriarchy when he realized it wasn't about horses made me laugh. Cowboys are seen as a man's man, this is true. And again, horses are cool. Get that man a horse! In the end, President Barbie recognizes the problems inherent in their system and proclaims that things shouldn't go back to the way they were. No one should have to live in someone else's shadow. The Kens ask for positions of influence, which President Barbie grants, though low level with the open option to advance, like how it worked for women in reality. Little by little, not too much. Men just weren't used to women in their roles. To be fair, the Kens pretty much share one brain cell. This action starts the change of turning Barbie Land from an inflated matriarchy to a society of equality. And since things happen pretty much in a day in Barbie Land, this will probably occur in, say, like a week. Barbie returns to the real world as a human because she doesn't want to be the idea anymore. She wants to be the one making the moves to better the world. She wants to be the one who makes the changes that she thought were already made. In the final scene, Barbie proudly states that she's at a clinic to see her gynecologist because she's so happy to finally have a vagina. This movie had its problems, and weird pacing and some plot holes here and there, but for the most part, I liked it. The disproportionate distribution of power made me scrunch up my nose in disgust. Some parts of the movie were a little too ham-fisted in the toxic variety of feminism, but that was the point. It's supposed to be in your face and make you feel uncomfortable. It had jokes that aren't exactly little kid friendly either. It's PG-13 for a reason. To parents, I'd advise against taking your small children to see it. It's not a happy-go-lucky fluffy film that will leave you walking out of the theater feeling like you're full of puffer fluff. It will leave you with moments of laughter, happiness, sadness, tears, and it will leave you feeling uncomfortable. This isn't a movie to watch and forget. It's a movie to make you think. It has lessons if you look under the surface level of thinking this is a film that's all about man-bashing. Feminism is not hate all men. That's horrible, toxic, and absolutely wrong. Actual feminism is equality for both sides. It's the state of being human, accepted by both sides. Laughing, crying, being sensitive, being powerful, influential, right, and wrong. Whoever says feminism is the former is a moron. Some people could feel the roots of what it's like to be on the other side of the spectrum here. We've come a long way since the suffragette movement, but that was sparked by generations and generations of experiencing what the Kens feel with very little to no power to do anything about it. I would have honestly been mad if this movie ended with Barbie Land going back to the Kens just being accessories. I am very, very glad it didn't. Also, I love that they had pregnant Midge in the movie because Karen's crapped all over that doll when it was released. Like, dude, your generation wants us to be mothers, but you don't want us to know sex education? You don't need to know. It's messy. It's sinful. Don't ask how it works. Don't understand. Just do as I say. Find a husband and give me a grandkid. Ugh. More power to pregnant Midge, honestly. In playing with Barbies as a little girl, I never did the get married and play house and be domestic thing. That was what I was expected to do when I grew up, and I didn't want to do that. I still don't. I had a dream house, but it was more of a base of operations for the adventures my dolls would go on with my Star Wars figurines. My Barbies were Jedi or heroes who fought bad guys, evil wizards, and evil kings. But you know, I agree with the CEO. Regular Barbie is a bad idea. Depression Barbie had me rolling on the floor though because, yep, anxiety sold separately. Honestly, we need an ADHD and autistic Barbie and Ken. Each one comes with a fridge they can put their phone or keys in when they put them down to pick up the milk and close the door, then can't find them later. All in all, this was a well-made movie with an incredible PR department. It will be controversial for people who only see the surface-level toxic treatment of the Kens and the pumped-up spectacularness of the Barbies. I'd also advise that you see it for yourself before jumping on an opinion bandwagon. If you do see it, try to go in without holding on to the bias that you're going to hate it, because then you probably will. Thanks for listening to my review. If you have anything to say, go ahead and leave it in the comments below, and also try to be nice. Please. Thanks, guys. Bye.